everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today, we're talking about how much my EDC costs. The other day I saw a video on YouTube, how to build the perfect EDC for under $200, how to build a perfect EDC for under $500. And those videos got me thinking, this is not a topic I've ever covered on the channel before, and it's really not something that I've ever sat down and really thought about. How much does all the gear that I carry on me cost? And so today we're going to find out. We're going to take kind of an average of how much my EDC gear costs. And I say we're going to be taking an average because as a reviewer, I switch things up a lot, right? I've got new stuff to test out. I've got new things to experience and try. And so, things kind of cycle through my pockets. I'm also a collector, right? And so there's a lot of things that I enjoy that I want to switch up carrying. So my EDC does change day to day. Does that kind of defeat the purpose of it being an EDC? If your everyday carry items change every day, are they really everyday carry? I don't know. Discuss in the comments. But we're going to try and take kind of a general look at the things that I carry and get an idea of how much stuff I'm carrying on me at any given time. And we're also going to look at this through a couple of different lenses. And as part of this video, I kind of want to show you guys what I use my EDC gear for on an average day. I really try very hard to show a lot of actual real life usage on this channel, but a lot of times the use that I show on the channel is the cool stuff, right? So when I'm out in the field, I talk a lot about the gear that I use when I'm out in the field. I'm camping, do my geologic surveys, I'm out in the wilderness for days and days and days at a time. And so I definitely get to use a lot of my gear pretty rough. And so that's always fun to talk about and show on the channel. I also like to show whenever I'm visiting my folks up at the ranch. Even if I'm only there for a couple of days, I take as many opportunities as I can to film me using my knives and stuff around the ranch because it's fun, it's good content, and it's really great testing for me. And since I don't live on the ranch anymore, it's a little bit nostalgic for me as well. I also really liked during the summers when I was working as a cowboy in the mountains. Every day I go to work and I'm using my gear, I'm using my tools, taking footage and stuff, and a really, really great opportunity to test things. And of course I also show footage of when I'm going on my adventures on the weekends and stuff, out exploring mines, climbing mountains, things like that. And so all of this is kind of the cool stuff, right? But believe it or not, I don't do that stuff every single day. And so in this video, I want to show what just kind of an average normal weekday for me looks like and how much I use or don't use my EDC gear. And the specific day that I chose to start filming stuff was kind of a really good representation of what my average day looks like. So we're going to go ahead and play that right now. Hey guys, it's disembodied voiceover Gideon. My day starts like most everyone else's. I wake up and drag my lazy ass out of bed to get dressed and brush my teeth and comb my hair and do all the other stuff that you have to do to look presentable in today's world. And depending on how late I stayed up the night before doing homework, I might wake up an hour before I have to go to work or 3 minutes before I have to go to work. On this particular day, it was closer to 15 minutes. Ran and combed through my hair a couple of times, and then realized that doesn't really matter because I wear a hat every day anyways. So that kind of fixes that problem. Then comes the most important part of the day, choosing the knife that I'm going to carry that day. And this can be a long process. Ignore all of the junk on my desk right now. This was a very, very busy week, and I had a lot of stuff going on. But I, pick up and fondle a couple of my knives for a little bit until I finally make up my mind on which one's going to go into my pocket and be carried and enjoyed that day. Stop looking at fossilized fish. There you go. Carry this VV Vision FG. That's a good one. There we go. Once that's finally settled, I start walking to my first shift at work, and I normally have an orange or an apple for breakfast. Yes, I know, truly the stuff of champions, a breakfast for the ages. But it's easy to eat as I walk, and honestly, I just really, really, really like fruit, so I'm not complaining at all. And don't mind me as I just jaywalk across the street. Living in the city has turned me into a filthy degenerate, and a criminal apparently. But after avoiding reckless drivers, crazed crackheads, and the law, I finally arrive at work and open up for the day. My first shift of the day is very simple. I open up the museum so custodial can come and take care of the trash and clean the bathrooms, and meanwhile, I scrub down some of the exhibits and displays. And this is where I get to use my first EDC item, my flashlight. For some reason, the light switch for this particular gallery is all the way in the middle of the room, so I've got to use my flashlight to carefully walk towards it so I'm not bumping into displays that are worth more than my entire life and causing a disaster. And then I go around and pick up trash and etc. After I clean up the trash, I go around and I wipe down some of our glass display cabinets because they get covered in grungy fingerprints. Ooh, this one's real dusty. And lots of fingerprints too. Maybe you have to bust out the Windex on this guy. Much better. Sometimes I forget that there's people in this world that are much taller than me, so even though I can't really look through the top of this display, other people can. So better just wipe it off. Barely reach it. That's okay. Need to get this label put back on. Some little kid ripped it off a while back. So today I'll type up a new label for the azurite. Well, here's a great task that all EDC nuts are familiar with. Breaking down cardboard. We have a lot of cardboard boxes. I'm gonna sit down just so you guys can see me. We got a lot of cardboard boxes lying around. A lot of specimens come to us in cardboard boxes, whether it's something that the curator has ordered in for the museum, or if it's something that, just a random person decided that they want to donate to the museum. They normally come in cardboard boxes. This is one of the latter. Someone made some donations with this box. And if we decide to use their stuff, then we just have empty boxes lying around that need to be dealt with. So janitor is coming here in just a couple minutes, so I'm gonna get this box taken down for him. Well, custodial didn't show up today, and I've got to get to class, so just take the trash out and everything, clean stuff up myself. Not that it's necessarily a huge deal, but whenever we have communication issues like this that go down between the museum and the custodial staff, it seems like I'm the last person to know. And I end up covering the slack. if I had known that they weren't going to get here when I first came in for my shift, I would have just done all this off the get-go. But I didn't find out until now that no one's coming, and so gotta get all this done before I go to class. It's not that hard, but now I gotta go do the toilets. After all that, I walked to class and then I walked back home. On this particular day, when I got home, I had a little bit of a weird chore to do. I had gone to the laundromat the night before, and while drying my laundry, the dryer I was using broke. And the laundromat was just about to close, so I decided, you know what? I'll just take my clothes home. And they were wet, and I got home and I didn't have time to deal with them. So on this particular day, I decided that I was going to string up a clothesline and let my clothes dry throughout the day while I was doing school and work and things like that. And that would have been a really, really great plan and idea if it didn't decide to literally rain and snow this very night. Yes, it snowed in the Chihuahuan Desert when I had my clothes hung up to dry. So they ended up getting soaked and then frozen. And yeah, it turned into a little more of an issue than it otherwise should have been. But eventually I got it all straightened out. On the one hand, always keep paracord around, right? Paracord is a very, very useful thing, and everyone should have at least a dozen rolls lying around somewhere. And remember to always tie adjustable knots, because once you start putting weight on the line, it's going to change the tension, and so it's good to have an adjustable knot that you can adjust to the correct tightness for your needs. By the time I finished up this particular little project, I only had a very, very short amount of time to get back to my next shift at work. And so I hopped in my truck, decided to drive this time, and I went and had a quick, emphasis on quick, lunch. You know you're getting old when the highlight of your day is sitting in your car to enjoy a salad. Did I need to do that? No, absolutely not. But if you're going to carry a knife, you're going to use it for everything. Fun fact about me, I absolutely love gummy candy. I absolutely love it. I take a pack of this stuff with me whenever I'm out in the field in my bag, and yeah, I love this stuff. And that is going to wrap up work for today. Close up the place, make sure everything's good to go. Nothing super exciting. Had a pretty big group of senior citizens from the old person's home come by, which was a fun group. But I had a conversation with a couple of the people. This old lady, she told me, "I'm from Illinois." I said, "Awesome, that's really, really cool." She said, "I don't want to be here. I want to go home." And oof, that stings, right? Feel bad for the lady. She says she doesn't want to be here at this old person's home in New Mexico. Yeah, I had a couple conversations like that with people, a little bit depressing, honestly. And then had one kid come through today. So one kid out of 30 adults. And really, really cool. She seemed like she was really into all this stuff and excited about geology, paleontology, things like that. I gave her a little dinosaur toy and let her hold the meteorite chunk that we have in the back. And that always makes my day. You know, when I can talk to kids about this kind of stuff, get them excited about chasing their dreams. Because I know there's a lot of kids out there who want to be paleontologists, who want to be geologists, mineralogists, who are fascinated by this kind of thing, but they're told that it's not the road to go down. There's no money in it. Or, you know, they've already found all the dinosaurs. That's something I remember adults telling me when I was a kid growing up wanting to be a paleontologist, said, oh, well, they already found all the dinosaurs, things like that. And I think it's a real shame. You know, I think you need to inspire kids to do what they're interested in. And a career in geosciences can be really, really fulfilling. And you learn how to think like a scientist, and that's very, very valuable. So, as always, it's really, really nice to, you know, connect with the younger generation. I will share one kind of amusing story from today. So when the group from the retirement home was there, they had I think it was 9 or 10 elderly people and 2 handlers, supervisor, I don't know what the word is. Two people that were in charge from the retirement home, right? And I'm in one of the galleries and I'm answering some questions for one of the old women. Asked me about petrified wood, and I'm telling her, you know, the process of petrification and how we get the wood that we do. And off to my right, there's this guy in a wheelchair, and he's talking to the female handler. And they're standing in front of these 2 cathedral geodes we have. They're amethyst cathedrals. Really, really beautiful. And he's telling the handler, he says, I used to collect geodes when I was younger. And he has, you know, a little bit of slowed speech, right? Because, you know, really, really old guy. But I could tell what he was saying to her. And she says, yeah, they are. They're beautiful, aren't they? He says, I used to have a geode like that. He says, they're called geodes. And she says geodes, and it was so jarring that I got distracted in the conversation I was having. I had to reel myself back in. And the guy says, geodes. She says, yeah, geodes. These are called geodes. And so finally, I tell the lady I'm talking to, she kind of, you know, is done with her question. I turn and I'm like, they're called geodes. He's right. It's geodes. Geodes. We have them on a sign there, and that's what she was reading as geodes. And she gave me this, she's like, oh, thanks. Geodes? What? Anyways, I don't feel like making dinner when I get home, so I guess I'm going to eat out tonight and then go home and do some homework. So while driving and wondering what I was going to get to eat, I realized that I needed to pick up a couple of things before I went home, and I decided, you know what, I might as well just get a sandwich at Walmart. So that's what we're doing. Got one of those Walmart Italian Hero subs. I eat the Walmart deli a lot. We're actually going to cut it in half right now. I'll save the other half for tomorrow. This is a stupid idea. I need like a cutting board or something. Also got me another ghost. Never had this flavor before. I think it's new. Phase Pop. Not sure how I feel about it, to be completely honest with you. What do I have here that could serve as a cutting board? You know what? I've got cardboard stacked up in the back of my truck that I'm saving for review cutting. So we will use that. I keep meaning to go out and do some review cutting, but I've been too busy lately, so we'll see when I get to go next. Also, I'm still thinking about that that old guy and the geodes at the museum. And it's bothering me because I see that kind of behavior all the time. People who are confidently wrong talking down to others. In this case, it was the woman handler talking down to this guy. Number one, All he was doing was trying to tell her that he used to collect geodes. She wasn't listening to him. She wasn't listening to what he was trying to say. And then she tried to correct his pronunciation of geode. She says, oh, these are called geodes. And then when I told her, no, it's geodes, geodes aren't a real thing, she kind of acted like, oh, why'd you butt in, don't correct me, things like that. And there's a difference between being wrong and being belligerently wrong, right? I'm a big proponent of being wrong. I think being wrong is fantastic. It's great. It's useful. How are you going to learn, right? Something that I've come to appreciate through my own education, and this is something I learned most acutely when I took geochemistry, is ask questions. If you're an idiot, if your question makes you sound like an idiot, you're an idiot once, and then you learn, and you won't make that mistake again. And when I took geochemistry, my professor was a real card. I love him dearly. And if there was something I didn't understand, I would ask. Even if it was something I was like, oh, maybe everyone else understands this, I'd ask. And every once in a while, I'd ask a question that was legitimately something that he was like, you should already have this mastered. And, he'd make me feel like an idiot in front of the whole class. But the flip side of that was I learned that concept, and I never had to ask about it again. And that's really, really useful. But when you are wrong about something and you refuse to be corrected, you're an idiot. You're a straight up idiot. And if you're wrong about something and you try to tell other people that your wrongness is right, you're an idiot. And especially if you're someone that's in a position of power speaking down to someone and telling them wrong information. It especially ticks me off when it's children that are subjected to this. It's something I've run into a lot in the museum. People being belligerently wrong. Well, I can't say that word today. But, ask anyone that knows me in life. I can be a little bit of a smart aleck at times. And I love debating people. I love talking about, things. And, where was I going with that? Oh, I like being right. And sometimes I'm not. On this channel, I hope I've made the impression that if I get something wrong, I go to great lengths to research out what I got wrong and then correct myself publicly. I don't like to, pretend like I was right about something all the time. I'd rather be right than wrong. And especially working through the museum, I am very acutely aware of the fact that if someone asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, I can't just make something up to save face, right? You gotta be comfortable saying, I don't know. I will admit, though, I will say, maybe, this is a little bit vain, but very rarely am I asked a question where the answer is, I don't know. I'm pretty good about staying on top of things. But as part of the job with the museum, both at the museum and other places, we do outreach. So we'll go to schools or community events and we'll set up a booth where, we provide education to people who are interested in things like that. And we also go to a lot of gym shows. And there are a lot of times where people who think they know more than they actually do speak down to me and my people that help me work, or they speak down to people around them because they think they're so smart. And like I said, I hate it when this is put on children. And in my experience, children are much better thinkers than adults in a lot of ways. As an example, I was working this community event a couple months back, and we had this activity set up, this little game. I had a piece of paper that was divided into several different areas that were labeled with different geologic time periods. We had the Cambrian, Ordovician, all the way down to the modern day, the Holocene. And I had several fossil specimens. And the game was, you need to order the fossils from oldest to most recent. And I had a couple already set out on the board to give people a little bit of a starting point, and then they would fill in the blanks. And they could ask me any question, I could provide them hints, but I could not tell them where something went directly. And without fail, when adults came to play the game, they wouldn't ask a single question. They would not ask a question. They were too proud to do that. So they'd order things and they'd be shocked when they got it wrong. But children who came to play the game always did so much better. And at one point, this mother and her son come up to the table and they start playing the game together. I explain the rules of the game, and the mom says, "Oh, okay," and she starts placing pieces down. The kid looks at it for a second. He picks up a fossil. He says, "What is this?" I said, "That's a horse tooth." "Okay. What's this?" "That's a trilobite." "What does it do?" Trilobites were little sea critters. They're invertebrates. They would scurry along the bottom of the seafloor. Okay. He asked me what every single thing was, and I explained it to him. And then he started his guessing. And one of the things we had out there was a dinosaur tooth. So he's looking around, picks up the dinosaur tooth, and he puts it where he thought it should go, which was correct, by the way. His mom says, "No, no, no. She picks it up. She says, "Dinosaurs are the oldest things there are." And she puts it at the very beginning. And I look at the kid, I kind of jokingly, I say, "Do you think your mom's right?" And he looks at his mom, and his mom says, "Of course I'm right. Dinosaurs are the oldest there are." And she looks at me and does this look like, kids, right? And I look at the kid again, I say, "You think that's right?" He says, "No." And he moves it back to where he had it. And his mom's like, "Okay, whatever. If you think that's right, we're not going to win." And so when they finally put all the pieces out, and I revealed, they got, quite a few wrong, but I put everything in its right order. I said, yeah, he was right with the dinosaur tooth. And one of the things that was said by some other kids that came by later that I thought was really, really excellent was they did the same thing. They asked me for information on every single piece. And once I gave it to them, this girl picks up the horse tooth, and I think it was a brachipod or something. And she says, "Okay, what came first? Horses or seashells?" And that's exactly how you win that game. You got to think like that. And so I guess the whole reason I'm ranting about this, I might not even include this all in the video, but just these are the things I think about, right? I care a lot about education. I care a lot about kids learning to think. And I care a lot about people being, not just children, but people in general being open about questioning the world around them, about looking at things with a critical lens, and people who think they're right about everything and speak down to children or elderly people or people that they view as lesser or not as smart as them. Those are the kinds of people that are really, really holding the world back. And I run into a lot of them, and they're frustrating. And the issue today, the whole situation today with the GIDs, it's not even a bad example. I've had far, far worse, but anyways, just these are the things I think about. And this, doesn't really belong on this channel. I need to get my second channel up and going. I need to get that started, but yeah, whatever. So let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at what I've got in my pockets today, because I think it's a pretty good representation of my average day-to-day carry. So let's go ahead, tilt down here, and we'll keep a running tally of everything. So the first thing I've got here, I pulled this out first because I'm going to be using this to tally up everything, is a Bic Velocity pencil. These are my preferred mechanical pencils. I love mechanical pencils. I go through a bunch of these. These are great for, obviously, schoolwork, but I also use them for drawing, sketching. I use them when I'm out in the field because sometimes a pencil writes better in my Write in the Rain books than a pen does, even the Write in the Rain pens. So love pencils. These you can get a 2-pack for like $5. So we'll call this a $2.50 pencil. So there's $2.50. Okay, and sticking with that theme, here is my pen that I carry, because having a pen is good, filling out legal documents and stuff like that. I did review this pen on the channel a while back. This is a Larry titanium pen. This is $25, the bolt action. Actually a pretty good little pin. I like it. So $25. Next up, my flashlight is the Olight Arcfeld. I love this flashlight. This thing gets a whole lot of use day to day. It's got the laser. Woo. And of course it's got the flashlight. Rechargeable. Fantastic light. Now this one I actually was given to me for free, but I am planning on buying a new one that has the black light. So these things go for, let's look it up real quick. I've got my computer out here. I think these are about $90. Okay, yeah, so about $90. Awesome. So there's our most expensive item so far. Also something I carry with me all the time is a jeweler's loop, because geology. In fact, right now I've got a whole bunch of mineral samples sitting out here. Lots of pretty little fluorite, some crinoid and brachiopod fossils. This thing, about $3. I'm switching between the pen and the pencil. Okay. And then for the knives, today I'm carrying the CJRB Frac. And I normally also always carry a secondary knife. And in this case, it is the CJRB Mica. So the Frac, that's a $70 knife. And the Mica, how much are these going for these days? CJRB Mica, $45. And then my wallet, this is the wallet that I carry every single day. And this one actually has, this item has a little bit of a story. So this was given to me by one of my roommates and a really good friend of mine. And he served an LDS mission in Villahermosa, Mexico, I think is where it was. And while he was down there in the jungle and stuff, he made a lot of friends with the locals. And one thing that the people would do there is they'd make leatherwork products out of, did they have crocodiles or alligators down there? Probably alligators, maybe crocodiles, I don't know. But anyways, this is a wallet that was given to him. It's made out of crocodile or alligator, whatever it is, that was made by the locals down there, and he gave it to me. So price on this, I have no idea. But this is my everyday carry wallet. I really, really like this wallet. It's very, very nice. And yeah, just a great piece. So there's that. Another piece of gear that I often carry with me is my Simcut Waxahachie. I do carry this knife on a regular basis. This is a $45 knife. There we go. You're probably wondering why it has this hideous, primitive looking paracord wrap. This would probably not be staying on here, but I had some loose pieces of paracord banging around in my backpack and I wanted to do something with them. And so I tied them on this knife just as a little bit of a experiment. Maybe I'll talk more about that later, but there's that. So another piece of my everyday carry that I should probably talk about is my cell phone, right? Cell phones are really, really important. We've all got them. We can't survive in the modern world without them. I can't show my cell phone right now because I'm obviously recording with it, but my my cell phone is ancient. It's ancient. I've had it for a long time. It's a Samsung Galaxy J7 Prime. And so I went looking online to see how much those are going for right now, because I've had this phone since, oh gosh, like my first year of college, second, something like that. And yeah, so I'm finding them. Here's one for $69. Here's one for $200 on Amazon. $150 is a refurbished one. Here's a $65 one. So yeah, Wow. Here's one for 110 on eBay. I guess we'll say the 150 is the average between all of these, I guess. Maybe we'll call it $100. We'll go 120. And now let's tally all this up. Alrighty, so the totals are in, and we're looking at 400 bucks for my EDC. $400.50 is what this EDC costs right here. And honestly, I think that sounds about average for the things that I carry. And I will say my EDC does change depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing that day, you know, whether I'm out in the field. And we're going to be looking at some of my other EDC loadouts. But there's a few things that never really change. Number one, obviously the wallet. This is my only wallet. This is the only flashlight I really carry. I am planning on buying another one, but that will probably be it. I don't really collect a whole lot of flashlights or anything like that. This pin, this is basically the only pin I carry. I have a couple of other pins, but this is really my only like titanium bolt action pin. And this is my favorite pin to carry. I like that one a whole lot. And then I've got a bunch of these things lying around. So those parts of the EDC, and of course my phone, never really change. A lot of what changes for me is mostly the knives I'm carrying and accessory things like that. So let's go ahead and look at some other EDC situations that I currently find myself in frequently. Quick note about my phone. I know it's ancient, it's a dinosaur phone, it's terrible, but I gotta say, it is still kicking. And I have done some pretty atrocious things to my phone. I've fallen in rivers with it in my pocket. It's been dropped down mountains. It's had a lot of horrible things happen to it, and it is still going. And yeah, it gets a little slow sometimes. It, struggles a little bit, but honestly, it's a pretty good phone. I'm probably gonna have to get a new one here pretty soon, but I think it does all right. And real quickly, let's address the elephant in the room, firearms. I've talked about this on the channel several times. I don't EDC a firearm. I work in a natural history museum. I do frequent educational outreach to high schools and middle schools and elementary schools. I'm a student. I really don't carry a firearm with me pretty much ever. I do when I'm out hiking and stuff like that, but we're not really going to talk about firearms here, so we're just going to skip that part. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of my field gear, the stuff that I'm using when I'm out in the field, when I'm out in the desert, when I'm hiking, camping, doing geologic surveys, or stuff that I would have carried when I was working as a cowboy in the mountains. And really the only thing to really add to that list is my Cold Steel SRK, and really this kind of just replaces the Cinco Waxahachie, right? Although oftentimes I won't worry about carrying a secondary folding knife. Normally I'll have my fixed blade and then I'll have a folding knife, and that gets all of my knife tasks taken care of. I like to carry a somewhat slicey folding knife when I'm out in the field. So one of my favorites is the Civivi Vision FG. It's a go-to for me in the field. So that's a $80 pocket knife, and this is a $40 fixed blade. So, and honestly, when I'm in the field too, I don't carry my wallet with me very much. I mostly leave it in the vehicle. I do carry my flashlight with me. I do carry my hand lens, and I carry a lot of extra gear. So let's go ahead and look at that. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this section, on this segment of the video. If you want more information about the things that I carry in the field, check out this video here, or here, or wherever it is. It's up there. That goes a lot more in depth into some of this stuff, but we will give a little overview. So first thing is my pack. This is my preferred field backpack. This is an Outdoor Products. I don't even know the model on this thing. This is a pretty inexpensive backpack. This is like a $35 bag. And honestly, I'm glad that I like this bag so much, because I've had 2 of these bad boys stolen from me. So, having them cheap and easy to replace is a really, really great thing. Now there's a lot of things with this that are a little bit difficult to talk about the price exactly, such as my first aid kit. Again, that video that I'm gonna link, I talked a little bit more about first aid kits. My amazing first aid kit that I had spent like 3 years putting together got stolen. Sorry, bumped the camera. Which really sucks because first aid kits kind of evolve as you do. You know, you adventure and you live life and you realize there's things you need to add, things you can get rid of, and so you kind of tailor your first aid kit to yourself. I am still working on rebuilding my first aid kit, but you know, prices on those vary quite a bit. One of my most important pieces of gear that I use out in the field is my Write in the Rain geologic notebook. This thing is invaluable to me. This is where I do, you know, all my note taking, drawing. This is where I record measurements that I take in the field. Yeah, do a lot of stuff in here. Yeah, here's just pages and pages of trend and plunge measurements, locations that I go to get recorded in here. So definitely a very, very important piece of gear. And these go for, how much are these? I actually need to do a review on this notebook here. I think it'd be kind of fun. Yeah, so about 30 bucks. So add that into the price. In addition, my hammer is a piece of gear that's really, really important to me. Work Sharp Field Adjust. That's a really, really great tool to have. It's about 25 bucks. Always have paracord with me. Bandanas, duct tape, super important. My Brunton, it's an important one. These can be crazy expensive or pretty cheap. This one was a cheaper one, about 35, 40 bucks. So my outdoor gear and equipment can get a little more complicated and obviously is, you know, quite a bit more expensive than my, you know, just regular stuff. While filming this video, I realized that I'm leaving out a huge part of my EDC, and that's my school bag. When I'm going to class and stuff, and also I take this to work with me, and it's really, really important. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got in here. The bag here is a Swiss Tech bag. I think I got this at a Goodwill, so I'm not sure how much this thing costs, but in this I keep all kinds of things, mostly pens and pencils. I love colorful pens. These Papermate Flare pens are fantastic for taking notes. They just glide over the paper. I really, really like them, but I keep those in there. I keep my work ID. I keep like rulers, spare charging cords, things like that. And then of course I have my laptop, and I actually have two laptops. One of them is a stay-at-home laptop, and it's become my main video editing laptop. And then I also have a on-the-go laptop, so a laptop that I take to class, to work, things like that. It's this one right here. This is also an ancient laptop. I think I've had this since I started college. Decorated with all kinds of stickers. You guys can enjoy those. So I take the laptop with me everywhere. It's probably about a $200 laptop. Keep a notebook with me at all times. That's homework stuff. And I also take my sketchbook with me a lot of places. And I've got a couple different sketchbooks. They range in price from like $5 to $10. But I think it's important for me to mention it. This is where I sometimes doodle knife designs. It's where I do other drawings. And yeah. It's a sketchbook. It gets used for sketchbook things. So yeah, really, really important part of my EDC that I figured I better mention because yeah, I carry this stuff with me a lot. And I think there's only one more kind of EDC carry that we need to talk about. Formal carry. What do I carry on special occasions? If I'm going to a wedding or a special event, what's my EDC look like then? Basically exactly the same as every other day. Same wallet, same pin, same flashlight. Really the only thing that changes is my knife. And sometimes it's not even an expensive knife. It might be a special knife, a knife someone gave to me. But just for the sake of argument here, just for the sake of trying to go as big as possible, let's take a look at the most expensive knife that I have ever personally purchased. My Best Tech Bowie tie. This is a $260 folding knife, and it is the most expensive folding knife I have ever purchased. And I know for a lot of you guys, it's going to be a it's going to be a baby price tag, but that's it. I love this knife a whole lot. This is a really, really cool knife. So if we're going to be adding up what I carry as like a formal carry, we can go here and we can cross out all those knives and re-add everything up. Take those out and just replace them with a $260 knife, which is more than all those are worth. And so that's going to bring us up to $500.50. So that's my fancy carry. Cool. Alrighty, well there we go, guys. I hope you learned something. I certainly did. My average EDC, we're going to call around $400 to $500. You know, it's pretty cool. I want to hear, what do you guys think yours is? Or maybe you already know. And I also do want to point out that I feel like I'm kind of privileged in the way that as a reviewer, I get stuff sent to me for free. I have things that are given to me, and not as much as, you know, a lot of other reviewers, but I do still have to mention it that, you know, some of the things I carry, for example, my Olight Artfeld, that was given to me as, you know, through reviewing and stuff. So, you know, perks, I guess. But yeah, very, very interesting. Again, I want to hear from you guys. Before we close out here, quick shout out to our channel members at the cowboy level. Dave Goodridge, Sharpened Blade, and Old Tonto Guy. And I want to give special shout outs to Old Tonto Guy and Dave Goodridge, who at the time of recording are our first members to hit the 1 month time frame as members. And so they got the new 1 month in badges next to their name. So thank you. If you want to become a member, information is down there. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Adios.